morning. It gives me great honor and tremendous pleasure to present to you the words of President Trump and then share an idea from my boss, Ambassador Friedman, as blessings to you and all those watching around the world. From the White House, dated October 20th, 2020. I send my warmest greetings to those participating virtually in the 2020 Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast. Though this year's event is different than those in previous years, I know that the power of prayer will connect the countless people of Jewish faith from their homes, places of work, and throughout the globe as they and others celebrate this very special occasion. Over the past months, the coronavirus pandemic has greatly altered the way in which we go about our daily rituals. Yet, virtual events like this prayer breakfast are important and critical reminders that our faith in the Almighty is stronger than any challenge posed by the virus. And now, more than ever, we have found renewed strength and understanding in our ability to turn to the Lord for guidance and comfort during these unprecedented times. During this year's event, I ask all of those involved to continue to pray for peace and stability in the Middle East. Recently, my administration has made historic progress in these efforts, brokering historic deals between Israel and the United Arab Emirates and the Kingdom of Bahrain to advance peace and prosperity in the region. Last month, leaders from these countries joined me at the White House to sign a peace agreement between the United Arab Emirates and Israel, the first between an Israel and Arab country since 1994, that normalizes relations between the two countries, including the exchange of embassies and ambassadors, as well as enhanced cooperation in a broad range of fields, including education, healthcare, trade, and security. Additionally, we signed a declaration of peace between Israel and the Kingdom of Bahrain, which establishes diplomatic relations and further enhances the security of both Israel and Bahrain, while creating opportunities for them to deepen their economic ties. The United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Israel signed the Abraham Accords Declaration to widen the circle of peace and to call for peace between the three Abrahamic religions. These agreements are monumental steps towards achieving a more stable and prosperous region where religious freedom and prosperity can flourish. Today, I join you in seeking His wisdom, His love, and His mercy as we continue to build a more hopeful tomorrow for future generations. I send my best wishes for a blessed event. May the Almighty bless each of you. President Donald J. Trump. It brings tremendous humility, but at the same time, tremendous pride to be able to offer words on behalf of the United States of America and specifically President Trump at the Friends of Zion Museum. If you were to describe the president in 3 words, it would be friend of Zion. And if you were to add a 4th, it would be greatest friend of Zion. There is no doubt that this administration's hallmark has been its commitment, loyalty, and steadfast relationship with our greatest ally, the State of Israel. And on behalf of Ambassador Friedman, inarguably the greatest ambassador the United States has ever had to Israel or any other country, I wanted to share a brief idea. For last year at the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast, you honored me by allowing to share a prayer, and we prayed for peace. And how rare is it that we can see the prayers that we offer come to fruition, not just in our lifetime, but within the same calendar year. The Abraham Accords. It's no coincidence that it's named after our father Abraham. To think that the United States of America created a peace accord that is based upon common values and shared religious belief would have been unthinkable just a few years ago, but is the hallmark and the historic legacy of this administration. So let me explain to you at least my interpretation of why it's called the Abraham Accords. Many people will tell you because we are all children of Abraham. That's very true, but that's not why it's called the Abraham Accords. Abraham, if you remember, all the way back at the beginning of the Bible, introduced a new and novel concept to the world, the newest and most novel concept to the world, but the single greatest concept that has ever been introduced to the world, the introduction of God to the world. And Abraham was described as Avraham HaIvri, Abraham who stood on the other side. The other side of what, I ask you? The other side of the world. He went against the grain. The entire world believed in paganism, idolatry, and ridiculousness. And Abraham believed in the one true God, but he was the only one. Can you imagine how he feels about his legacy today? Just 6 months ago, if you were to imagine that I, Aryeh Lightstone, senior advisor to the ambassador at our embassy in Jerusalem, Israel, would start off the morning in Jerusalem on Sunday, take a direct El Al flight to Manama, Bahrain, to continue from there to Abu Dhabi, where my next flight would be on a commercial Etihad flight that would land in Israel with the Secretary of the Treasury, Stephen Mnuchin, Special Envoy for International Negotiations, Avi Berkowitz, and 2 ministers from the United Arab Emirates to land in Israel and sign peace accords with the State of Israel under the watchful eye and witness of the United States of America. Last year, you would have told me that I'm lying to you. The Abraham Accords celebrate the brilliance and the bravery, the courage and the vision that President Trump, Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, King Hamad of Bahrain have demonstrated, no less than Abraham. When the entire world said this cannot be done, they stood up and did it. When the entire world said this goes against the grain, they said the grain is wrong. When the entire world says that our embassy does not belong in Jerusalem, the president did it because he shares the character traits of Abraham. He does what is correct. He does what is right. He does not always do that which is popular. And therefore, we wish the blessing upon the Abraham Accords, that history will prove Abraham to be the greatest of all people, for he corrected the world in a course correction that was so desperately needed. These Abraham Accords will show all other nations that when you embrace the United States, when you embrace our friend and ally, the State of Israel, the blessings will be upon you. And those who do not grasp that, those will be the ones on the other side of the river. The courage, the strength, and the vision of our president, President Trump, the Vice President Pence, Secretary of State Advisor Kushner, and my boss, Ambassador David Friedman, have demonstrated that when you are correct, the rest of the world will join you. So last year we prayed for peace. I would encourage us to do that again. We are not done. We've only begun. But I would also encourage us to pray for the end of this plague. And when we come out of this plague, we will be stronger, we will be more united, we will be more safe, we will be more secure, we will be more prosperous because of peace. So we pray for the president's success, for all of your success. And again, on behalf of the greatest friend of Zion that has ever sat in the Oval Office, President Trump wishes all of you success and peace and prosperity. Thank you.